Hi there and well done for choosing the Aviron rowing machine. Now if you spend just a couple of minutes with me in this video setting up this machine right for you, you're going to be much more comfortable going ahead and get a much better workout. So what I'm going to take you through is the 3 connection points: your feet, your hands and your backside, and then a very brief look at rowing technique in order to make sure you get that all over body workout that I'm sure is the reason you've chosen rowing, all right? So we're gonna start right at the bottom with our feet. Now, if you look at the foot stretches, you can see that they're able to go up and down. So where do you set them? What you're looking for is to be able to come into the front of the machine with your shins in a vertical position comfortably. If you have your feet set too high, it can get a little bit tough to get there. If you're set too low, it can be really easy to get there. You can go right past that vertical position and actually it can start to get a bit uncomfortable on your toes. So the ballpark that I want you to set it to is that the strap covers the balls of your feet, not up at the arches, but down at the balls of your feet, which is often the horizontal lace on your shoe. So do that for both of them. Experiment a little bit, make sure that you're comfortable, but straps across the balls of your feet is the best place to be. Next up, how do you hold the handle? Well, if you have an absolute death grip on the handle, what's going to happen is you're going to tire your arms out and you're actually going to leak power from going into the machine. Far better is to just hook your fingers over the handle with your thumbs lightly underneath. So not a death grip, just nicely hooked. Now, this not only helps with the power transfer in your arms into the handle with that open palmed grip, it increases air circulation, which will stop your hands getting quite as sweaty, which can be one of the reasons that you could develop blisters. So fingers hooked over the handle, arms nice and relaxed at the front. And then that brings us to our final connection point, which is our backside on the seat. Now this is an important one when it comes to posture and things. Although it's a seat with a bit of padding, you're not here for a sit down to watch television or something, you're here to row. So I want you to be up, primed and powerful. So this means sitting up on your sit bones, not with your hips rolled backwards and your tailbone tucked underneath. So if you can look at the difference between this slumped posture to then sitting up, and how I like to describe it is though you've been sitting at a dinner table and you've just been shouted at for slouching at the table and you go, "Ooh," and you sit up. So the difference between sitting back and sitting up is huge, and it's one of the most important things when it comes to rowing is to improve that posture to sit up. And that brings me nicely into the basics of rowing technique, okay? So we're gonna start this from the back of the stroke because this is the easiest way to think about how to get into the front. Trust me here, okay? Now, as far as the resistance on your machine is concerned, just set it to 1 for the time being. We're just gonna work on our motion first and you can set your resistance later, all right? So pick up your handle and let's get to the back of the machine. And then I want you to imagine you've just been shouted at for slumping at the dinner table, okay? So, whoop, okay, so you sit up. Your hips are now up rather than slumped backwards, and you have a nice powerful posture, ready to start the stroke. Next, put your arms straight out in front of you, nice and relaxed. They should be nice and loose in front of you, and tilt forwards over your hips, so you're now leaning towards the front of the machine into a 1 o'clock angle. Then bend your knees and you will roll towards the front of the machine. Now this position at the front of the machine is called the catch. This is where if you're on the water, the blade would catch into the water. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the drive phase next. And so what that means is holding this forwards tilt and arms straight, you push your legs into the machine. Now notice how my arms are still straight. I'm still on that forwards tilt as my legs are driving. And then when my legs are around about halfway done, I'm going to swing my back from that forwards tilt to the backwards tilt. And then I'm going to pull in my arms to a finish. So everything comes into a finish at the back of the stroke. I still have this good posture. I'm still up on my sit bones, although I am leaning backwards. And then what happens next is the handle comes away. The momentum of the handle coming away from my body triggers my forwards tilt back over my hips. And here I am, ready to bend my knees to roll towards the front of the machine, back into the catch position. And then we drive, swing, pull into a finish, and then you release the handle, rock over your hips and recover into the front again. Always with a good posture of the back, always thinking about just tilting forwards over our sit bones and then back over our sit bones. Now that covers the fundamentals of what's happening with your legs and your hip rock in order to give you a good rowing workout, but I don't want to leave you without really explicitly saying what's happening with your arms. And the most important part here is that you do not pull your arms at the front of the stroke. You keep them nice and straight, you push your legs, then you swing your back, and then you pull into a finish with your arms only at the back of the stroke, okay? And the handle finishes up at around about sternum height, which is your brass strap or your heart rate monitor height. You're not dumping it down into your belly button. You're also not finishing up in your neck. A nice, comfortable sternum height. Wrists should be as flat as possible. If you have to have a slight outwards flare of your elbows in order to make that happen, that's fine. But what I don't really want is you to have your elbows all the way down at the bottom or to be like a chicken with your elbows up in the air, okay? So you come in straight arms, pull into a finish, and then arms just loosely come out in front of you again. They're already in position for you to rock forwards and come in. You don't need to scrape down the handle as though you're rowing on the water. So you can just come in and out. In and out. Okay, so nice sternum height, only pulling at the back of the stroke. Now, the last thing to say, because obviously we skipped past it, is what to do about the resistance on the machine. Now this is one that you're probably best for the time being to go through a few workouts and you'll find the resistance that works best for you. But the one thing that I want to really point out is if you start to feel you have to pull really hard in order to get the machine moving, you've set your resistance too high. Remember, you're meant to drive out from the front with straight arms. So you come in, straight. If you've set your resistance too high that you come in and you're having to bend your elbows first in order to fight the weight of the machine, your resistance is too high, so reduce it down a little bit, and hopefully over time what's going to happen is you will find what works best for you. If you're doing a long, slow row, you might want to set it a little bit lower than if you were doing a really fast, short sprint. You know where the best place for you is to set it on this machine, okay? So there we go, the first steps to make sure you're comfortable and get the best workout on this machine. Now make sure and check out the coach classes on the Aviron and you'll find me and a whole bunch of workouts for you to row along to. Until then, please take care of yourselves. Be well. Bye-bye.